Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we will discuss the structure of a human eye. Eye is a specialized sense organ which receives different images from the environment and carries them to the brain for further processing. The shape of the eye is almost spherical. It is not perfectly spherical but almost spherical. And the diameter of human eye is 2.5 centimeter and the volume of eye is about 6 milliliter. It is broadly divided into anterior part and the posterior part. The anterior part is the smaller part. It is the part which is visible to us in the environment, while the posterior part is the larger one, and this posterior part is contained within the bony cavity, and that bony cavity is called orbit. The anterior part makes up about 1/6 of the total eye globe volume, while the posterior part makes up about 5/6 of the total volume of eyeball. Between eyeball and the orbital cavity there is a layer of fat to protect the eyeball, and this fatty layer is known as periorbital fat. This periorbital fat gives cushioning effects and protects the eyeball. Different extrinsic muscles of eye are also contained in this space between the orbital cavity and the eyeball. These muscles give different movements to the eyeball. Eye is supplied by the second cranial nerve, that is optic nerve. Now coming to the wall of eyeball. The wall of eyeball is made up of 3 layers: the outer, middle and inner. Outer layer is fibrous one, middle is vascular, and the inner layer is neural layer. The outermost fibrous layer is made up of sclera and cornea. This black line is showing the outermost layer of the eyeball. Fibrous layer covering the posterior part of the eyeball is known as sclera. Sclera is basically whitish part of the eye which is visible to us. The fibrous layer covering the anterior part of the eyeball is known as cornea. The cornea is a transparent membrane, while sclera is whitish in color. This is thick fibrous structure which it protects the eye from different type of injuries. The middle layer is the vascular layer. It is also known as uveal tract. It is further made up of choroid, ciliary body and iris. This red line is showing the middle vascular layer or uveal tract. In the posterior part of the eyeball it is known as choroid, while in the anterior part it forms a thickened portion, and this portion is known as ciliary body. Ciliary body contains ciliary muscles in it, and it secretes a fluid which is known as aqueous humor, and it fills the anterior compartment of the eyeball. The ciliary body further gives an extension, and this extension is known as iris. Iris is basically a structure of the eye which gives a specific color to every eye because it contains a pigment in it. The iris divides anterior part of the eyeball into 2 chambers: the anterior chamber and the posterior chamber. The chamber in front of the iris is anterior chamber, and behind the iris it is posterior chamber. And this small gap between iris is known as pupil. It appears round when viewing from the front side. There are 2 types of muscles in iris which controls the size of pupil: the circular muscles, and the other type is radiating muscles. What is the function of these muscles? These muscles basically control the size of pupil, and by controlling the size of pupil, this mechanism controls the amount of light entering the eyeball. The radiating muscles are supplied by the sympathetic nerves, and the circular muscles are supplied by the parasympathetic supply. After passing from the pupil, the light strikes the lens. Lens is suspended in place through the suspensory ligaments, which are extensions of the ciliary body. These suspensory ligaments change the size of this lens for accommodation. Vitreous body is the fluid which is contained within the posterior compartment of the eyeball. The fluid contained in the anterior compartment is called aqueous humor, while the fluid in the posterior compartment is called vitreous body. Now coming to the innermost neural layer of the eyeball, this layer is also known as retina. This blue line is showing the retinal layer of the eyeball. All this neural tissue finally combines or collects to form a single nerve, and this nerve is known as optic nerve. The point at which the optic nerve exits the eyeball is this point is known as optic disc or dark spot. Photosensitive cells present in the neural layer of the eyeball to detect light. These cells are rods and cones. Rods detect the dim light while cones are for brighter light. This optic disc or dark spot is known so because there are no rods or cones present in this region. That's why this is known as dark spot. There is another spot which is approximately 5 mm anterior to the point where neural tissue combines to form optic nerve. This point is known as macula lutea or yellow spot. This is known so because this region contains only cones. Rods are absent in this region. That's why this is called yellow spot, because it appears yellow. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more. Allah Hafiz.